just rolling. Just roaming. You know what I got not do is do this.
What's that?
I gotta not do that. I always do this when I'm like getting interviewed and I get this little fat
roll.
Yeah, fat roll.
I don't know, it could be your...
I gotta go like that.
Could be your signature.
Yeah.
Is with this program to just bring on people that I find interesting, inspiring in the adventure sports space for now. Until I get a call from Beyonce or something.
Yeah, until you move up. But for now, all you got is me.
This is a stepping stone.
It's the first step right here.
But we're actually here in Alex Honnold's house right now. You can see his Academy Award right here.
I was saying about half the items in this house are awards. Like seriously, there's so many awards in this house. The bathroom has awards. Yeah, a lot of awards.
You can look at Lyndon Pollard's awards while you take it down.
Wherever you look, there's probably an award somewhere. So.
How many awards do you have, Brad?
Well, the section isn't the free solo grant, Oscar.
Replica.
Yeah, no, it's the safety third one.
It gives you the heebie-jeebies, doesn't it? It's like my hands are sweating thinking about it.
If you guys had watched more of the Oscars after Honnold got off the screen.
No, we met Taylor Swift last night.
We got a Best Sketchy Documentary Award, so here it is.
We did, yeah, so we did get Most Sketchy Documentary Award, I think there was one.
It's a new category.
Brad came onto my radar about 5 or 6 years ago. As somebody who was, a bold traditional climber, but also a bold soloist. And as someone who comes from a soloing background myself, who learned to solo right along with learning to rock climb, it's something I've always admired and respected. And so when I heard about you doing the Naked Edge, running laps on the Naked Edge, stuff like that in Eldo, I was sort of intrigued and I thought it would be really cool to start documenting some of your climbs. Yeah. And
that was a good year too. That was a good year to do that. That was my reckless season. Those 6 months right there. It was brutal.
Yeah, explain
good
that
though.
to me. Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah, because you have a different perspective on things now. Like, tell me what that whole experience was like.
Well, I feel like the free soloing for me, or just like kind of danger climbing in general, tends to come in like waves. And sometimes, there's some seasons where I'm really into it and I'm doing a lot of it, and other seasons where I've kind of backed off and just worked on like other stuff. And that season in Boulder specifically, more than any other time in my life, was kind of like the climbing X-rated routes and soloing. And Eldo is the place to do all that. And that was located like 15 minutes from my front door. And I was just really into that kind of thing. It kind of started with a lot of...
Why are you into that sort of thing? Why? What is it about soloing?
Well, I think before kind of entering that season, that like fall season, I was doing a lot of gym climbing. It was like the summertime, and I was kind of just spending a lot of times indoors. And I was getting really fit, and then my psyche to kind of get outside and get excited and sort of have more adventure was kind of building up throughout the summer. And then by the time like fall kind of rolled around and the good temps came, I started getting outside and my motivation was super high. And on top of that, I feel like all that gym climbing I did was making me feel really strong and confident. And so those two things combined, mixed with like Eldo being so close to my house, it just was like kind of the perfect recipe for dangerous climbing, I think. And I guess I had friends that were into it, and
what are your inspirations for soloing? Because it's like not many people do it. I feel like people are like worried that safety third or free solo are going to
inspire people.
Solo, but I kind of feel like it's a self-selecting thing for the most part. But where did your...
I feel like if I had to give one name, I would say Dan Osmond. I think.
Dan Osmond,
yeah.
Nice.
Watching the Masters of Stone videos when I was a kid, he was kind of my favorite guy to watch, and
he's a spectacle.
Yeah, he's a spectacle, and I guess I don't know if you could say he like inspired me to solo and do like scary climbs, but that's kind of like all I watched, and I guess like I didn't really That was climbing, like watching that
Peter
stuff.
Croft?
Yeah, Peter for sure. Like there's like seeing photos of him like on the rostrum and stuff like that was pretty inspiring.
Because you were a Yosemite climber. You came into Yosemite. What year?
I mean, I guess you could say I really came to Yosemite in 2008, right?
Yeah.
Right after I got out of high school. I mean, I attempted I kind of half-assed college and then dropped out after a year, and then 2008 I came to Yosemite, and I guess you could say that's kind of when I became like a rock climber.
Yeah.
Before that, it was more like I was in school, I took wrestling, and I was like, I had all these things going on, and climbing was a hobby.
A little bit,
Climbed a bit, and just in the gym, and then like when I got out of high school and moved to Yosemite to kind of take a break from college, I'm like, I'm gonna move to Yosemite, just take a break from school, and then I got really into climbing, and then like I never went back to school, and then that kind of started my years as a dirtbag climber.
When you showed up in Yosemite, were you aware of people like Peter Croft, John Backer?
Oh yeah.
Looking up at the rostrum or Astro
Oh, for sure.
and being like, whoa, these guys sold this back in the
Dean was a big
Potter, yeah.
Yeah, Dean was he was a big inspiration for sure.
Totally.
Like the footage of him racing up the nose solo, doing that was like I watched that like 1,000 times. That was really cool.
Yeah, interesting. And it's I think it is interesting in the sense that you're kind of a newer generation climber, and there's, we grow up with more media, and so the fact that you were seeing Dan Osman, and also the fact that you're naming like Dan Osman and Dean Potter more as influences than say someone like like Backer or Croft, who I think were people who probably motivated people like Osman and Potter to be who they were. It's interesting. And what do you think? What do you think about that whole? That whole media chain, and now you're kind of like people are going to be watching Safety Third.
Yeah, back to like what motivates me to solo. I honestly I don't think that stuff like Masters of Stone, those like characters really inspired me to solo. I think it was more like I didn't really have anyone to climb with. Like that first year, especially when I came to Yosemite and I started really rock climbing a lot, I wasn't very social, and I was doing a lot of rope soloing, and with that just kind of came free soloing on easy stuff. And like there'd be times where I'd be like rope soloing something like a single pitch thing. I'd do it like 10 times just for the fitness, and I had nothing else to do. I didn't have anyone to climb with. And then I'd
need the rope.
Yeah, I'd pull the rope and I'd be like, let's run up it really quick and solo it. And then I'd come back, like every few days and just solo it just for fun. And then I guess that's kind of what really started the soloing, was those 2 years in Yosemite where I was working, and I hadn't really met anyone yet, and I was doing a lot of solo climbing, and it kind of like it just started happening.
And I should tell everyone that Brad's also an incredibly accomplished roped climber and traditional climber. And actually, since we filmed Free Solo and I filmed Brad having what you could interpret as a close call, I was pretty impressed to watch you, pour yourself into other disciplines, set the record on the nose for a little bit until fucking Honnold took it again.
Yeah. 6 months though. I had it 6 months.
Yeah,
that's a good 6 months. That sucks.
Honnold's got the nose record and an Academy Award.
Yeah. Man, I know.
But at least we can stay in his house.
Yeah. It's a nice place. Yeah. Only awards, but it's still nice.
You can put his.
It's kind of, the chair's a little like, the arms are a little high. Kind of like.
So explain to me, what was your experience of being in a film, being filmed free soloing? I had concerns, obviously. And after we filmed, you doing hairstyles and attitudes, Brad, if you haven't seen the film, Solo's a 12+ test piece, one of the best climbs in El Dorado Canyon, a real classic. And the crux pitch is at the very top of the Bastille. It's extremely technical, extremely difficult, and what I would call a terrible solo. It's pretty slippery and slopey, and I mean, I would say it's definitely it's maybe the best. Well, I don't know. One of the definitely maybe the best face climb in Eldo. I don't know. I think it's one of the best climbs in Eldo.
Yeah, for sure.
Period. Of any kind.
Yeah.
And so Brad he had actually gone up a couple times and bailed on the solo, just climbed up to it, then down climbed and been like, I'm not feeling it. And then he called one day, he's I think it's going to go down. I was like, all right, I'm going to go up into position. At this point, we'd already filmed you on a couple of other solos, including the Dow Griffith, which for people who know, it's probably won't be getting repeated much. It's a
Slippery.
slippery.
That one's slippery.
Yeah, that one's slippery and gnarly, and in some ways just as serious as hairstyles, even though it's 11 plus. But
less reachy, but more like kind of on the feet. I'd say. It's definitely easier, but more on the feet.
You're like standing on like nothing at points,
Yeah.
and you're like right on this knife edge of red, and there's definitely you're not gonna like catch yourself on anything. But I filmed him on a relatively solid ascent, and then I don't know. I guess I just describe. I don't know. How would you describe like the process of being filmed on that, the making the film, appearing in the film? I mean, it's, in some ways, your life has changed since then.
Yeah.
Can you explain that experience?
Yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of people like ask like Cedar and Taylor like did filming like them filming you, did that like kind of influence you to sort of like do the solos? And I honestly, I don't think so. I think like I had the plan to do these specific solos that kind of like
meant a lot to you.
Yeah, it meant a lot. And like, hairstyles was kind of the ultimate goal for that season. And I wanted to tick those off, and you and Taylor just kind of happened to be there.
Taylor was my co-director and the editor for these films.
Yeah.
And so he was also up there filming
Yeah.
side by side with me on hairstyles. And actually, there was a moment where you kind of like came around the rock, and then you pulled back in. And it's like it's kind of one of those things you're like, oh, was that a close call or not? It was just sort of a weird moment.
Yeah, like you said earlier, there were 2 times where I had gone up there and I wasn't feeling it, and I came down. And this 3rd time when you guys were there, it was the same situation. I climbed up there. I felt better. Like I felt like fresh. The temps felt better. Everything seemed to be pretty much perfect. And I think what inspired me to make the next move and to commit to the crux was the fact that it was like, I was so close to going for it last time, and I didn't feel perfect. And this time I feel just about perfect. And that's, I think, kind of what inspired me to finally just be like, all right, I'm doing it, And then, like, as soon as I started making those moves kind of into the crux, I was like, I don't know, it kind of like there was sort of that insecurity that was like with me on the previous attempt, where I was like still kind of like, oh, maybe not, and it was the first time that's ever happened to me in soloing, and the only time. And it was kind of interesting, a weird experience where I was just like, for a second there, I was like the bubble of concentration kind of like went away, and I was like,
it was like you overcranked, I think.
Yeah, I kind of overcranked it.
And then it was like when you overcranked, your body position was different, and then
I think that's kind of what led to like man, I feel a little weird. Like I was like, I'm gonna over grip, because why not? I'm not tired. I'm not gonna pump out. So it's like just grip harder, because who cares? I'm not gonna wear myself out. And then I think maybe it put my body in a slightly different position, which kind of made the balance a little weird. And then I was like, man, this feels weird. I don't know. And then that's kind of.
And then it was fine. You just
and then it was fine. Yeah.
But I was like, oh my god. Whereas Taylor was just like, oh, I'm just filming. He didn't even notice it. He didn't notice what had happened. Whereas I was like, ooh, that was.
I was like, yeah, I hope they didn't notice that.
And they were.
I did.
Let's replay it in slow mo in the movie, because this is. It definitely made me think, about filming free soloing. In the past, I filmed with Honnold on Sendero, but he went up and soloed it, and then we just went back, and where he felt comfortable, we basically recreated the kind of feeling of being up there and exposure of being up there on sections of the route that he felt comfortable climbing. That he felt like he could just do kind of mellow style, and whereas filming you in the real moment, I just realized there's always with a pushing the limit, but even soloing, anytime you're filming soloing, there's that chance of falling and dying, and I was just like, whoa, what if I had filmed your death?
I mean, it would have sucked for me, but it also sucked for you guys. That'll be in your head. I think they go into that quite a bit in Free Solo, like what it's like for the film guys.
Totally, yeah. And it's like a weird, I think it's a little bit of a selfish thing to film free solo in some way, because it's going to be tittillating, it's going to be exciting to watch, but at the same time, you're kind of getting in the way of the purity of the solo, and so it's something I've thought about since then. Will I film another hard free solo? And and I think if it was the right person, if it was like you or someone, I just knew you were like purely motivated, and
Yeah.
and were, going to do this stuff whether I was there or not, and that's why I was there. And if I met someone who was in that mode in that moment of time, I would consider filming free solo.
Going for it again.
I'm certainly not like knocking people's doors down.
Yeah, it's like,
trying to
you think about doing this solo recently?
I haven't filmed soloing since.
Just saying. Yeah.
But so anyway, the movie comes out. I mean, you were a dirtbag, being you're living in your just living on the road,
living on the road,
car, like
living in that house with like 10 people.
Bussing tables, and then the movie comes out.
Yeah,
and,
no, it's been good. Yeah, I mean, I'm still.
You got sponsored by
Grumici. Yep.
And they're actually paying you.
Paying me now. Yeah.
Which is huge,
yeah,
right?
It's
so that
big.
means you're able to
just climb all the time. It's great.
Yeah. So you fully committed to being a full time, like this is your
pretty much.
career.
Yeah. I actually, this summer I actually worked a little part-time job at a climbing gym just to kind of give myself a break from living on the road, and that was nice. But I'm just climbing. Like I'm here in Vegas right now, living in a house, but I'm not like technically working like any side job. I mean, I'm making enough to just like live and train in the gym. That's basically all I'm doing right now is training in the gym. And
I can say Brad is like friggin' super strong right now.
Yeah. Well,
in fact, your number.
I was like on the moon board. Yeah, I was like I was 30 for like a little bit, and then a few people some people from Japan I think passed me, and so now I'm like
crushing.
I'm like number 35 or 6 or something.
But that's impressive though.
Yeah, I mean that's like all I've been doing for like a month is moonboarding.
On the moon board?
Yeah, like 100 or something. I don't know. Yeah, way up there.
Up his game up.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, he has been like only just touring and winning awards. So.
Yeah, he's been busy hanging out with like A-list celebrities.
Yeah. Sonny wants to meet Bradley Cooper. We'll see.
And freaking.
Yeah. It's great. Like
$50,000 for speaking engagements.
Yeah. I think he's been super busy with that and not really climbing. But I mean the weather's been terrible here in Vegas, so I haven't really been getting outside. So I've just been forced to climb in the gym, which has sucked. In a way, but in another way, it's good because I'm getting like more fit, but also the psych for climbing is really starting to get high. It's like I'm injured again, like you get injured and you can't climb for a while, and when you're finally healthy again, you can climb. You're so psyched, and I'm kind of feeling the same way. It's like this weather's been like a bad injury, It's like the psych all winter has been building up. And finally, hopefully, in the spring, when it gets a little better, I'll be like.
Really and you're familiar with injuries. You've got.
I took a little fall climbing.
How many broken ankles?
3 broken ankles. I've rolled them countless number of times. One on the left when I broke my back, and then I've broken the right one twice. I've actually broken it since like a year after breaking my back. Around the same time, I broke the right ankle really bad, and that put me out for like eight months.
That's a crazy story, actually. Brad was coming down from a descent in Red Rocks, slips, falls, breaks his ankle.
Yep, right at the base. Yeah, right at the base of the Rainbow Wall. Which if anyone's been up there, it's a huge approach, and really technical. It's like a climber's trail with like a lot of scrambling and boulder hopping and like crossing creeks and going through cactus and shit. And
you were with Honnold at the time.
Yeah, we were climbing. Up there for like most of the day, and then it was starting to get dark, and we didn't have headlamps, because we were like cocky, and ended up just slipping right at the base. Took a huge slide down the slab, and broke my right ankle really bad, and then we contemplate. Yeah, we just crawled out. Like most of the trail getting down there, Alex couldn't carry me on his shoulders. It's just too technical, so I had to like crawl out of there. And then by the time it started to get a little more flat and more of a trail, he put me on his back and carried me out. And Segrist actually came out too. Jonathan Segrist came out and gave us some headlamps, and kind of they switched me off. And I couldn't.
Rode out on Segrist. Nice.
So I owe them big time. I didn't complain about it at the time, but like I think I was telling you about this earlier, but like one of the most physically challenging workouts I've ever had was like holding their shoulder while they were doing like this kind of unsteady hiking. Well, they're hiking, like that, like up and down. Yeah. And I'm like holding like around their shoulders, and it was like doing this weird lock off. And for like a week afterward, like this muscle right here was just throbbing. Like it was almost worse than my freaking ankle injury. Yeah, it was a weird muscle to work out. And that was like the only thing I was thinking about when they were carrying me. Like the pain of the ankle just went away. And then
I guess that's good. Weird.
Yeah,
like, you know.
yeah.
Well, so like to rewind a little bit. So so safety third finishes. You start your name starts getting out there. You pick up some sponsors. You go to Yosemite.
In Yosemite, yeah.
You set the nose record.
Set the nose record. I guess it was like a year later.
Yeah. You coming back from breaking your back, and you did. Oh yeah, you did you climbed El Cap in a day a couple times. You did South in a day.
Yes, freed South in a day. El Corzon, freed El Corzon in a day. Yeah, it's actually been great. Like getting the pickup from Grammici, I've just been like had a lot more time to dedicate to our climbing, and like gosh, I feel like my the climbing success has gone a lot better because I'm not.
You're getting better.
Yeah, more time to focus.
Dedicated.
It's great.
What I admire about you, you're very like, you know what I mean, and you're very talented, and you respect like the old. Kind of just the old school traditional kind of values, of like big walling and that sort of thing is really important. It's like
I mean that's what it's all about. I like big wall climbing, like moving fast. That's like my thing, moving fast on like big walls. I love that.
Yeah, totally. There's something about it. That's
like if like people are like, would you call yourself a free solo climber? I'm like, no, I'd say like a big wall climber. It would be my
totally.
It's the thing I'm most into.
Or a great traditional like an all around traditional climber. And you tore up Yosemite, and then what? What happened after that? Let's see.
So I spent 4 winters here in Vegas. So I've done a lot of climbing in Red Rocks.
It hasn't been 4 years since safety third.
No, but there was I think
2 years before that.
2 years before, yeah. So this is my 4th winter, and I've been to Yosemite.
Nellie's here.
Nellie's here.
Cut.
The sun.
We had some technical issues, so we're just getting to recording.
Trader Joe's. Was that place packed?
Trader Joe's?
Yeah.
No.
Really? It's a Saturday. It wasn't packed.
No, it wasn't.
The one off the 215 there on Sahara.
Wasn't packed at all.
All right,
well, that's lucky.
Do you mind being quiet for a minute? Really, don't put up groceries or anything, just be quiet.
Okay.
Whoa!
Oh my god.
Is it on?
Well, no, it smashed and turned off.